February 3rd at 9 p.m. on NBC. See that? It's cold weather. I'm getting my cold weather training on from Minnesota. What?
This is Good Morning Football. How about that announcement the night before the biggest game in sports? It's the biggest celebration in all of football. Rob Riggle, as you just saw, along with the stars of the gridiron and entertainment, honor the NFL's best performances, including the Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year Award and the Most Valuable Player, and the announcement of the 2018 Hall of Fame class. It's NFL Honors Saturday, February 3rd at 9 p.m. Eastern on NBC. Now, heading into Championship Sunday, we talk all about superstars, of course, like the Tom Bradys and the Jalen Ramseys and the Stephon Diggs and the Fletcher Cox. But in big games like this, there's always somebody that shines, that Chris Hogan sort of player that comes up with the clutch play. I don't know why I'm pointing the finger like this. I think it's Telvin Smith.
That's right.
Right here. So let's share the under-the-radar players that we think could make an impact, like Star Search style, right?
Okay, cool.
Here on the show, we're calling it Next Factor.
All right, well, I'm going to go deep and dive into the weeds for this one. Like you said, we're familiar with the running backs for the Patriots. We know that James White is going to be a thing. We know that Deion Lewis is going to go off, but there's a guy that's sandwiched in between those guys who actually made a play last week and got in the end zone, and that is running back Brandon Bolden. And that is my guy who is going to be the next factor. 73 yards, a rush TD in the last 2 games. That's the playoffs right there. And when he got in the game, like, who is this guy? Does he play special teams? Oh, he just gets in the end zone and makes a huge play for his squad. And here's another note, which is why I really love this guy. Bolden's grandfather was a receiver for 10 seasons. Frank Pitts, 1965 to 74. Here's a quote about Bolden's grandfather. I remember being 6 years old, him popping in highlight films of Super Bowl 1 and 4. He said, I've seen that tape at least 500 times. He played in Super Bowl 4, his grandfather. So a guy that's been in those moments and has kind of lived it through his grandfather. So shout out to Bolden. That is my next factor.
And a guy who's done it with the Patriots. I mean, they don't keep players that aren't useful to them, whether it's on special teams or for a reason, and he's stuck it out with them for years.
Absolutely. He goes back to the Ridley Vereen days.
Yeah.
My next factor, I'm going to the other side of that game. I'm going to Jacksonville, and I'm going to their fullback, one of the most beloved guys in that locker room, the great Toomy Bohanon last year. His father's he was pushing sand and salt around.
He's like Tommy Boy.
He says, I was trying to do everything I could to still make money. And then he said, no matter when my next opportunity comes, I'm going to be ready. He was working for his father's construction and contracting company. Yes, like Tommy Boy, like Big Tommy Callahan.
That's right.
You can't make this stuff up. And now we fast forward to this year. Dude's got 4 touchdowns. He had a touchdown last week against the Steelers, and he is the heart and soul of that Jaguars backfield. You know about Yeldon, you know about Fournette. This guy's an old school fullback. He wears that all-stot look, right?
He does. He looks like all-stot.
And he just blocks his butt off. So Toomy Bohanon, don't be shocked to get a little play action. Bortles to Bohanon. Now you know the story. The guy was working at his dad's contracting company a year ago. Love it. Tommy Boy. Let's go.
How about an undrafted kid out of Kentucky Wesleyan Division II school who is a winter wonder, turning it up at the right time? My next factor is Keelan Cole. Same team as Toomy Bohanon, but Keelan Cole, can we wrap our heads around the fact that he is the lead this year?
The Jags' leading receiver, Keelan Cole.
Crazy.
Next factor.
It wasn't even a thing until recently.
Yeah, well, obviously. I mean, that was massive. The catch between the 2 Steelers was huge. I'm going to go to Philadelphia. I was at the stadium last weekend, and during the pregame warm-ups, I'm way high up, high seat in the stadium, and I'm looking down, and I'm like, who is this guy on the field who's dancing, who's looking at himself on the Jumbotron? Who was the biggest star down there? It wasn't Julio Jones, wasn't those running backs. It was Mack Hollins, the receiver for the Eagles. Number 10, Deshaun Jackson's number 10, by the way. This guy was a 4th-round draft pick. He was drafted right before the Bears took Tariq Cohen. The Eagles took Mack Hollins. Now, we remember this guy from earlier in the season because of that. He's the guy who will do the backpack. He's the guy who was riding his bike to the stadium. Peter told us the whole story. He's a North Carolina guy. He wears number 10, just like Ryan Switzer of the Cowboys does, just like Mitchell Trubisky of the Bears does. They all wear number 10s. There were even reports that they would live together. They were all roommates at North Carolina, so they have a thing.
That leads to the old sock on the doorknob joke that you like to make.
Yes, I did wonder who led the league in socks on the doorknob on that. It's true. Probably 3 10s in there, too. Listen, he is my guy who I think could emerge. He had a big catch last year. He's a character. His dream, his life dream, he wants to own a successful exotic aquarium where people come and visit. That's what he wants. Not to own a team, not to... So this is my kind of guy. He's a burner. He's an athlete. He likes him, and I love that. Mack Hollins, look for him to make a big play this weekend. Number 10.
Luxury aquarium.
That's it. That's his thing, right?
Can I do the backpack dance here?
Yeah. Would I do it? I don't really know how to do it. It's one of these. There you go. It's one of those, something like that, right? Nah. All right, no. That's a no for Hollywood.
Mack
What does
Hollins.
Twitter say? Nah.
This boy an idiot.
That's it. Those are our next factors, but I'm sure we're missing some. There's 4 teams full of stars. So we're doing a little star search if you guys want to add someone to the mix. It's hashtag GMFB.
Oh, my goodness.
Yep.
Kyle.
What?
So, a luxury aquarium.
That's his dream. In fact, Mack Hollins' father, as the story goes, as a child claims that he owned a pet lion, and this is Mack Hollins talking, it's on the media guide. He owned a baby lion, and so he grew up liking exotic.
Neverland?
Yes, he grew up in Neverland Ranch, and they had to shut the thing down. It's a different story, Nate. Don't take me down that path. It's human nature. But yes, this is the guy. We all got good ones,
it's funny, though, because David Tyree was mentioned. Kay said his name, but last year it was Chris Hogan. Not everyone in the world knew about him, but in the AFC Championship game, it was like, here's my coming out party. Right. Someone's going to have a coming out party. I can
Someone
see
will be that
Cole.
guy.
You think the Patriots Empire Dynasty is going to come crashing down with Toomy Bohanon?
It could be Toomy Bohanon.
I'd be here for it.
Working at his dad's contracting company. It could be Toomy
Boris
Bohanon.
is going to have to step up. Watch
No
Keelan
doubt.
Cole. Keelan Cole's going to make some plays.
Keelan Cole.
Those corners for the Pats.
Who was your guy, Nate?
Oh, I had Brandon Bolden.
Brandon Bolden.
He's been there forever.
So many running backs. We've represented them all in the
Scored
first
his
hour
first
of the show.
TD in the last 39 games.
And I'm still
That's how
talking
often
about-
they use him.
Is that right? But then that's the Patriots. He'll show up and have 3 touchdowns this
And he'll
weekend.
be the
That's
MVP
them.
of the game.
I'll talk about Deion Lewis a little bit later.
Okay.
Actually, right now on this new hour of Good Morning Football, which kicks off right now. This is Good Morning Football. Hey, we're right back. Here we are live in New York City. It's Friday, January 19th. I'm Kay Adams. This is Nate Burleson. We have Peter Schrager, Kyle Brandt. The whole family is here, and we're about to find out which 2 teams will be heading.
What are you doing?
I need some more tea, man. It's Friday. I'm all hopped up off of caffeine.
So you need some tea?
Yeah, what more?
Hit me.
What more, guys?
Let's not get crazy here on a Friday.
Right.
All right, which